Oh, YouTube, yeah, YouTube. Um, so, shit, guys. So I want to actually talk about interconnection agreements. I wish I had this thing enough, but I don't want to waste time again. Like I just want to, because I have other videos I want to make. Interconnection agreements is like the second agreement. Like it's also very important when you're opening like a power grid, or like anything power generating, commercial real estate, any power generating asset. The interconnection agreements, as I think that it is, I talked about one of my other videos. I've spoken so many times about the power purchase agreement, which is very important because the banks will not lend you $1 if you don't have a power purchase agreement from Starbucks, your banks, or KF, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, like people that I would actually want to buy electricity from you specifically, or governments, if those guys don't give you a power purchase agreement that they are going to buy electricity from you, they will demand electricity for a certain amount of time. The bank is not lending you $500 million or 500 or 1 billion or bringing 700 million for your $1 billion project. Whether you have 300 million or not, you just have to get that one first, because that one, without that power purchase agreement, is like you're just um, burning electricity. In fact, if the demand goes too, like if the electric something goes too high, you can actually end up losing and then be forced to close down. So let me just go over what I have about the interconnection agreement, because that one is more like, you know it's also very important. So you can also use that one because you have to connect it to the power grids, like the power grids that actually circulate, like that, you know circulate it to the retailers. They have to actually, those retailers have to connect it to somewhere. You have to actually connect it to somewhere. So it's like a kind of three-way handshake, kind of stuff. So, yeah. So this is also very good in commercial real estate, because I'm also going to the whole multi-family part is coming later. Like, so to a Nigerian investor, I like talking to the global investors. So I don't know why my I told my presentation to act like Nigeria, to just remember I'm a Nigerian. That's why. So these three concepts are the land title, the guarantor's letter, and the cleanup fund of the power wood. What are those three concepts? Land title. What's the land title? What's the guarantor's letter? I think guarantor's letter is like the PPA agreement, but the cleanup fund. Okay, I think cleanup fund is the decommissioning bonds. The land title is the interconnection agreement, the legal handshake between the plant and the grid. Land title. The guarantor's letter is like the credit rating requirements for companies like Starbucks to sign a bankable PPA as like a power purchase agreement. So the interconnection agreement is like the legal handshake, and before you can sell a single kilowatt from, let me use Sandy Creek, which is a distress, very terribly distressed asset I gave one of my partners, and it was very terrible asset. Um, in fact, it's coal. Coal is not even a renewable. I don't think coal is renewable. But if I want to actually buy any asset right now, I'm going to go after renewable assets that can last more than 20 years. I'm seeing all these guys, those 20 years and then they close down. So before you can sell a single kilowatts from Sandy Creek, you need more than just a PPA. You need permission to physically plug into the grid. That is the interconnection agreement, the IA. I said that one earlier, so I'm just repeating it. So the parties, let's say in Texas, let me take in Texas now. There is a three-way handshake between you, the owner of the plant, that is the plant, the transmission provider, the company that owns the big pylons like Encore or Centerpoint, and ERCOT. ERCOT is the grid operator. ERCOT is the one that, it's like the electric stock market where other electric guys, you see the prices and everything. They just control the activities and everything, but they're not like they're not created to like be making money. Unfortunately, what they use for all those guys like this kind of, is it not NGOs, like non-profitable kind of corporations, like special services and all those things. Like ERCOT is something like that. It's like a kind of corporation created by the government or the people, but like they have to manage Texas electricity. Like ERCOT is like something electric reliability. What is it, bro? Let's leave that part first. So ERCOT is like the grid operator, and of course you are responsible for the generator interconnection cost, building the substation and the lines that connect your plant to the main grid. Damn, like this one. That one is also part of the money. That one is me and the bank are handle that cost. So the rules is like the IA dictates exactly how much power you can push onto the grid. Okay, so if there is a particular amount of demand for electricity, you cannot exceed that demand. If there's a particular, you cannot give more than the supply of the demand. And like you cannot blow, if you blow any transformer, if your this thing, if your power grid starts supplying more electricity than is actually needed from, like there's needed at a particular time, and the supply, and then you start blowing some transformers, um, the grids now can actually report it to air court, and air court can shut you down. Now you get it, like this. Air court is like the air traffic controller or something like that. Yeah, also like a stock market. Yeah. So the IA detects exactly how much power you can push onto the grid. You push too much at the wrong frequency, you could blow up transformers or cause a blackout. I said that. The IA gives the grid operator the right to curtail, shut you down remotely if the grid is overloaded. So like, let me compare it. Nigerian comparison is like, think of this like the connection agreement with TCN, as Transmission Company of Nigeria. Without it, your plant is just a very expensive museum. I swear, that's artifact. So that's about the interconnection agreement. Yeah. So let's talk about like the credit rating requirements. Why Starbucks? So basically, a PPA is only bankable if the buyer is rich enough to keep their promise for 20 years. I mentioned Starbucks, Total, all these corporate tenants, because their PPAs are really reasonable, because like if the buyer is rich enough to keep their promise for 20 years, they can pay their electric bills for 20 years. That kind of stuff. Only a bank will have that kind of money. Starbucks, people that are generating cash flow, ShopRite, Total filling station, that's it, they need electric current. I don't know, but I think they need to just that kind of stuff. Banks like Bank of America look at the credit rating from what the fuck. Okay, I just I think I just oh shit. So it's like bank. I think we're talking about like banks like America. I don't know. Let me just get to that side first. Where was the IA? Yeah, IA. Yeah. So banks like Bank of America look at the credit rating from agencies like S&P and Moody's of the company signing the PPA. They look at the credit rating of the company signing the PPA, the credit rating, through agencies like S&P, and Moody. I don't know why it's the S&P 500. That's why I was confused. So like the investment grade, there's BBB or higher. I think I saw AAA. So now it's BBB. There's companies like Starbucks or Microsoft are investment grades. Banks trust them explicitly. I need to write this investment grade companies and what is AAA companies and BBB, because I need to check that one out so I can know the kind of companies I want to open. Yeah. How many minutes is this? This is 8 minutes, okay. This is something I'm watching so many times so that I can internalize this shit. On Microsoft, I think I saw AA in one place like that, but I don't know. I'm going to check this things. Investment grade. I need to know the most profitable kind of stock corporate thing I need to take as my tenants. BBB. Oh no, this is BBB. What the fuck am I doing? Why do I BAA? This is BBB minus or higher. So like banks trust BBB minus companies or higher. That's companies like Starbucks or Microsoft are investment grade companies. Banks trust them implicitly. I don't understand that kind of English, where it means like serious English. If they sign a PPA, the bank will give you a loan with low interest, example 5 to 7%. I think Nigeria is like 20-something percent. Nigeria is just crazy. Shit, that was my video. I'm actually sick right now because I had malaria bites me up and down last night and just like I've not smoked weed for a long time, so it was almost injecting. They were injecting so much. What is that malaria toxin? Sorry, mosquito was injecting so much malaria inside me. So speculative junk grade, BBB plus or lower. If a smaller, riskier company signs your PPA, the bank might refuse to lend to you entirely, or they will charge you Shylock interest rates, that is 12 to 15%, compared to the 5 to 7% from BBB plus minus and higher companies. So BBB plus or lower, or more. There's only BBs, 2Bs. I need to check these Bs, what these Bs mean. Yeah. Because they fear the company might go bust before the 20 years are up. Wow. The parents guarantee. If a local subsidiary like Starbucks Texas LLC signs the deal, the bank will demand a parent company guarantee from the main global headquarters to ensure the big money is backing the contract. Okay. So it has to really be corporate tenant, not franchisee, because franchisee is like the individual now trying to handle this whole stuff. Corporate tenants only. Make sure the corporate tenant now the headquarters agree say you won't move there. That's what I'm saying. I want to be your tenant, not be a franchisee something that is another person that's saying help me build. No. Connected to the main guys. So the commissioning bonds. Let's talk about like the exit claim of when let's say a power generating plant wants to close up or something. So a coal plant is a dirty asset. I didn't check what that meant. What they meant like dirty. When Sandy Creek eventually reaches the end of its life, 30 to 50 years from now, it cannot just be abandoned. The land must be restored. The bond. To get the permits to build. Okay, we're actually migrated from interconnection agreements to, talking about the death of the power grid. So to get the permit to build, the government or the county in Texas requires you to post a decommissioning bond. This is essentially an insurance policy or a locked bank account. The amount must cover the cost of tearing down the chimneys, removing the coal ash, and cleaning any soil contamination. For a plant like Sandy Creek, this could be 50 million to 100 million just to tear down the whole place and bring it back to bare land where they can use it for a purpose or something else. So the protection, if you the owner, let's say me now, I go bank, God forbid, I'm not going bankrupt because I need to have so many of these things. If me now go bankrupt at the end of the plant's life and try to run away, the government cashes the bond to pay for the cleanup. Okay, the government is always, the bank is always the first one to collect the money because they are the senior debt. They have less risk, but they put up bigger money. The one is less risk because anytime the assets, they're the ones that have the right to seize the assets first before anybody has any claim to anything. So the bank does not get paid, you're not even getting paid. So normally I suppose run, sir. I didn't want Walla with that one. Throw it down, give that one to the bank. So status check, March 2020. Because Sandy Creek is currently offline, expected back March 2027. Its interconnection agreement is essentially dormant. If a plant stays offline too long, ERCOT could technically revoke its right to connect, which would be a terminal blow to the asset value. Guy, what kind of asset did I gonna give my clients? It was a very terrible asset. Like, it's just terrible. Like, in every area. So, like that guy is good. Like, oh, God. Next time I need to approach this guy, he has to be the best. I need to stop disappointing my niggas. So, to wrap up this financial engineering view of the world, we look at how the bank protects itself when things go wrong. Which is exactly the situation Sandy Creek is in right now. Jesus Christ, these people are very heartless. The cure period, your grace period. Even a PPA, if your plant stops producing power like Sandy Creek did in April 2025, you are technically in default. However, the contract doesn't end immediately. You are given a cure period. The timeline is for a major failure. Like a typical PPA gives you 90 to 180 days. That's like 3 months to 6 months, maybe. Yeah, as an initial cure period. The extension, if you can prove you are working hard to fix it, you have ordered a new 50 million turbine rotor. The buyer might extend this to 365 days or more. Okay, so that's the cure period. A cure period, if you are trying to fix it, they may extend your default. I don't know. Then this asset is terrible. They drop dead dates. This is the final deadline. Sandy Creek is expected to be offline until March, nearly 2 years. The owners are likely deep into negotiation to extend their cure periods. If the buyer, the off-taker refuses, it can terminate the PPA, which usually triggers a total collapse of the project's financing. I swear. Yeah, I like it when I breathe all those things out. It's like I'm breathing out sickness. Kindness makes you just realize how sick you can be in a normal state. You need to just elevate out of your current, interacting with everybody. You tend to actually suck people's energy and like negative vibes, and then getting mosquito you just need to So letter of credit LC in Nigerian power deals. Let me talk about Nigerian power deals. So this one, I don't know if you're actually watching. I don't know who will be watching this kind of videos to this kind of point. This is for me to watch later on. So because the Nigerian power sector has a history of liquidity issues, meaning the buyer, NIBED, NBET, might not have cash on hand. Lenders demand a letter of credit, which is an LC. The standard LC is a guarantee from a highly rated international bank like Standard Chartered or JP Morgan. The Standard Chartered in Nigeria. How it works: if NBET, which is a Nigerian buyer, fails to buy a Genco for 2 months, the Genco doesn't have to go to court. They simply take the LC to the bank and say, pay me from this guarantee. Okay, I think I'm going to understand this one as I keep trying to hunt more assets in this time, but this one is just, yeah. So the cost, the Nigerian government or the buyer has to pay a commitment fee to keep the LC active. It acts like a revolving buffer, usually covering 3 to 6 months of electricity bills to keep the plant running while the government finds the money. Like, this is actually a really good asset because I don't think I can really lose. Like, I know I may invest some big money in the beginning, but like, if things go well, bro, these things could be making serious money. Like, you have like an ecosystem of, industrial and like industrial. One of your industrial tenants has like a PPA that's agreed. You have a retail ShopRite or one big shopping mall, or you have like a bank. The finance area. You have banks that everybody wants to agree to buy electricity from you. You can go and get all these guys PPA. Go to the bank, get a very good loan. Go and build your own power grid. You know what I'm saying? So this is, you just understand the most important thing is having the power purchase agreements, and then the interconnection agreements. The lien, the invisible. When you borrow money from Bank of America to buy a plant, they don't just trust you. They take a lien, a legal claim on every single physical part of the plant. Exactly. They are the senior debt, so now they own the property in case anything happens. Asset-based lending, so that's why the common equity is actually the riskiest. If you guys pay off the debt, you end up taking the property and the land and everything. But if you don't pay off the debt, nigga, you lose your money because you have to pay every other person up first before you get paid. So understand the capital stack before you know where you position yourself and how you actually get the money and everything. So the lien is registered against the turbines, generators, transformers, and even the land. Negative pledge, you are forbidden from selling any part of the plant or using it as collateral for another loan without the bank's permission. That is called negative pledge. No do like Iquere men in Port Harcourt where they will carry power plants, one go use and collect loan in another bank when they don't take permission. They will lock you up. Foreclosure, if you break the covenant, stop paying, the lien allows the bank to seize the equipment. Foreclosure. Yeah. So I think I should pre-foreclosure is where you can see assets, but I need to look for multifamily. Next week, this week that's coming, Sunday is it's already a new week. After giving these guys lands, I'm going to multifamily because I just got a message from Zakwina, which is like a principal of a syndication, real estate syndication, prosperity commercial real estate, Zakwina. And just told me, yeah, he's interested in assets in Midwest, but no upfront fees. Yeah, I understand. Like, he just said no upfront fees. Like, that was the message you just replied, so I understand the vibe. Because last time I was billing all of them. I didn't respond to them again, so they're not gonna still pay me. I don't care, bro. I'll just bring brokers, get portfolios for them, we share the money. So I talked about foreclosure. So the stepping connection, the lien is the legal right to the equipment. The stepping right, we discussed it, the operational right to run it. Okay, the big picture reality. Sandy Creek is currently a distressed asset. The lien is active. The banks own the steel. The bank don't really carry the asset. Why am I not giving kind to my client? What do you want my client to do? It's all rubbish assets is that. There's so many assets. Why do you want to stress that guy either? The secure period is being stretched to the limit. In insurance, business interruption is likely the only thing paying the interest on the debt while the engineers work towards March 2027 restart date. Okay? So I think I already talked about the force majeure versus default legal, but like I don't have to go through all this explain debt haircuts process if the owners cannot pay back the banks and the breakdown. So this is already 90 minutes. So the video was supposed to talk about interconnection agreements. So yeah, and a little bit about power purchase, how you can just seeing basically at the topest level of real estate, at the most highest level, infrastructure level, it's all about contracts. Having contracts with this, having contracts with this, having contracts with this. That's how they're making the money. Like, the contracts are the money, Only power purchase contract, like a bank will give you any amount you want. So bank gathers those things and then for their own, they have their own use. I'm not going to that part yet. Because me, I'm thinking about how to even get my own so I can show the bank. So yeah, that was it for the video. This video was like about interconnection agreements. See you next time.